Welcome everyone to another Embrace Fertility podcast / YouTube episode. Today we have another fertility expert interview for you. So let me introduce our next guest. We have Alexie Sara Reilly. She is a fertility support doula. Her passion for all things fertility stems from her almost 4-year journey of trying to conceive. By connecting with a community and finding support from a fertility support practitioner, she discovered her true passion for supporting and helping others on this challenging path. She genuinely believes that no one has to do this alone. Alexie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Naomi. Thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate it so much.
It's so nice to actually see and chat. We've been chatting for, I think we're probably about 18 months on Instagram and just sort of getting to know each other through our posts and through the chat. So it's really lovely to have you here today. So first of all, tell us about your own personal journey and how you are sat here today.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about this. So my husband and I have been trying to conceive now for, I think, almost around 4 years and a bit, actually, but going through infertility treatments for about 4 years. We started trying to conceive around 2018. But unfortunately, my husband was diagnosed with male factor infertility. Since then, we've had 3 egg retrievals, 6 IUIs, and 3 frozen embryo transfers. Out of that, I had, unfortunately, 1 chemical pregnancy, and my latest frozen embryo transfer in August ended in a miscarriage. So it's been a very bumpy and hard and difficult journey, but we are prepping right now for our 4th frozen embryo transfer, hopefully at the end of April or May.
And I love you've shared your journey with us through your Instagram account. And I think it's so important for others that we have these spaces where we can really share. And that's what I love about your feed, and the fact that you're really sharing all of it. You're sharing the ups and the downs, and also I really love the way that you're sharing how Tom feels about this as well, because so many accounts are quite two-dimensional of it's just like, oh, this is what I'm experiencing, whereas it's really nice to see how you two are coming together as a couple and the things that you're doing together going through this, because obviously it's about both partners coming together to be parents.
Yeah, I can totally understand how difficult, like in infertility and going through fertility treatments and trying to conceive can be so consuming. So I really try to nurture myself, but also nurture my relationship and my marriage that I have with my amazing partner, Tom, who completely empowers everything that I share on my Instagram feed. And it's kind of interesting because when I first started my Instagram, I had no intention for it to be the outlet that it is for me, but also like it's an outlet. It's a way for me to share my story and to communicate with other people. And the most amazing part that I think is that it also inspires people to advocate for themselves, because yes, originally we were diagnosed with male factor infertility, but we also found out through this journey that I do have immune issues. And when you have immune issues and you're trying to conceive, it's just a whole different protocol that needs to be administered, I guess is the right word that I'm looking for. And that has inspired other people to talk to their doctors about the certain medications and treatments that I have received. So that just, I get a I would say I get a lot of messages, with people thanking me that thank you for talking about this medication. I never heard of it before. I asked my doctor and now I'm on it. So I love being able to be that information for people, but also a support um, and a way to inspire them to advocate for themselves.
And I think that's what's so interesting as well, is when you're sharing a journey and you're sharing the things that haven't gone to plan, that can then be like, you guys are obviously learning, and your doctors are learning about like, oh, what do we need to tweak here, and what's happening here hormonally, and what's happening with your diet, and what's happening with all these different things. And so then it's like you gain all of that knowledge, and then you literally become your own fertility expert, don't you? Because you've like all this new information about how your body works. So then it's beautiful to then share that with others, instead of, so it's like you're like leading the path, and then others can come along and go, oh, Alexie went through something similar. Oh, I wonder if that's something I should just, even if it's just that conversation with your fertility specialist of like, I've heard of this natural killer cells thing, because so many of my clients have recurrent miscarriage, and natural killer cells has never even been discussed. And I'm like, well, hang on, because in the US, this is now becoming more of a talking point, and so many specialists are saying like, all right, there's this thing. But still in the UK, it's quite divided, with some fertility specialists being like, this is the answer to every recurrent miscarriage case, and others still being like, nah, we don't need to worry about that. And you're kind of like, well, it seems such a new say technology, that's not my word, sort of like a new, that we're still finding out exactly about what it is and what we can do about it.
Yeah, it's kind of similar here in Canada too, actually. Not all the clinics offer immunotherapy. So I was actually very like the first clinic that I've actually been to several clinics, the first clinic didn't even test me for it. It wasn't until I got to my second clinic that the doctor was like, I think you have um oh my goodness, undiagnosed infertility. I think, sorry, I'm looking for a specific word, but it's not at the top of my head right now. But she thought that it had to do with immune issues. So she referred me to the only clinic in Canada that offers immunotherapy, and that just happens to be Markham Fertility Center. And thankfully, it's 2.5 hours away from where I live. And there are people from all over Canada that travel hours to get to this clinic because of the different type of treatment that they offer.
And that's amazing that, you'd never had that opportunity and been put it, had that doctor who was like, oh, joined the dots up and said, amazing. So your account used to be Epic Quest for Baby Reilly, which I absolutely love. And what is your account now?
So right now my account is the Infertility Doula. It was Epic Quest for Baby Reilly for a really long time, because that's what my infertility journey felt like. It and still feels like. It feels like an epic quest for Baby Reilly. The going through fertility treatments is so hard, and there's so many challenges, and there's so many obstacles, and it's a huge trial and error. Like, we just never know what's going to work, and it's an ongoing path of discovery of what you're capable of, and discovery of what your partner's capable of, and trying out new things and hoping that it works. I did recently change it to the Infertility Doula because I graduated from Doula Canada's fertility support practitioner course in July. It's a 2-year program, self-taught. And I was recently just part of a clinic here in Guelph called The Womb, who offers support from women or women presenting and their families, anywhere between fertility to birth to labor to postpartum care. So I was really fortunate to join this team of amazing people to support other people on their incredible journeys.
And I absolutely love the name, like The Womb. It just sounds so inviting, doesn't it? It sounds so
Right?
welcoming to be like, come, and that that. It just, yeah, it feels very, very loving space, and your photographs of the team as well. Like, it's just so nice that you are like, you're, you know, you're physically all there together, because so much now is online, and everyone's spread out. So someone being able to come to a physical place as well.
It's so nice, and there's like naturopaths, massage therapists, lactation specialists, postpartum care, pelvic floor physios, labor and birth doulas, and then fertility doulas. I'm the only fertility doula there right now. But it's so exciting and it's so amazing, and it's woman owned and operated, and then the original owner is also a woman. So it's such a beautiful space, and it's so empowering. And yeah, I'm ever since joining that group, I just changed my handle over to the infertility doula so that I can share different aspects from what I'm going through personally, but also what is what is going through fertility treatments like, what is trying to conceive like, what is coming off hormonal birth control like what are these things to expect when you're trying to conceive, and what are the roadblocks that may or may not happen along the way.
And talk to us about the name. So over here in the UK, more people are beginning to understand what a doula is, but it's still quite a quite relatively new concept. So sorry, what does the word doula mean?
So doula is a support. It's a support person that's not a doctor, and it's not your family or friends. Um, but for like a fertility support doula, it's a trained professional who provides preconception support to individuals and their partners as they follow their path to parenthood. Similar to birth doulas, bring non-medical, non-judgmental information, as well as emotional and physical support to the time around labor and birth. A fertility support doula brings that same model to preconception and infertility, fertility. So we provide people with factual information to help support them. I kind of, what I explain to my clients is I'm your fertility BFF.
Yeah.
I'm the person that you can turn to when everyone else is just tired of like you talking about making a baby. You know what I mean? I'm like, I will never tire of it. I'm your constant cheerleader. I'm your constant support. So if you're having a day where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I'm here to support you. If you're like, I don't know if I can take my basal body temperature, how do I do it? I help support you. Or if someone's going along their infertility journey for the first time, and they're like, I don't know what my doctor is saying when they say this, and that, I help explain it. And they're like, I don't know what this medication is going to do to me. And then I explain it. So it's kind of like, instead of spending hours upon hours like I did at the beginning, just researching everything and anything, um, people can come to me instead, and then we can talk and have a conversation about it. And then I provide them with factual information instead of, I know that when I first started back in 2018, I didn't know anything about fertility support practitioners. I didn't know anything about egg retrievals. I didn't know anything about infertility and what the medication was going to do. And I spent hours upon hours researching. And there's so much information and misinformation out
Yeah.
there. And sometimes that can cause a lot more hurt because you have these specific expectations of how you think everything's going to go. And sometimes it doesn't go that way.
And I think, and that adds so much more stress, doesn't it? It's like when your doctor goes, and today you're going to bang bang, and you're just looking at them going like, I literally have no idea at all. But they say it as if they're
Yeah.
speaking our language. But obviously, if you've never heard of IUIs, IVF, ICSI, all these different drugs, all these things, and you're
Yeah.
so
Like what's
Yeah,
FET
okay,
mean, and what's,
yeah.
2DP P5, like, what is, like, you just don't know, right? So you're seeking out community, and you're seeking out other people, and you may not feel comfortable to ask questions, and you may feel out of the loop. So someone like me can help you feel like that you're not alone, and I can explain those things to you.
And I think it's so beautiful because obviously someone else could have done the training that you've done, but you're living it. You've been through so much. You've got that firsthand experience. So as well as having your professional training to then be supporting people, you've got that firsthand experience. And I think that makes such a huge difference when you're supporting someone, because you can literally go like, oh, and here are the facts, this is the information, and then personally, this is how I experienced, and this helped me and this helped me. And so you've got that whole extra layer of what you can provide and offer. And when people know that because you've been through it, you're not bullcrapping. It's like sometimes when the doctor's like, oh, there won't be any side effects for this one, and you're like, have you ever taken birth control? And they're just like, oh, this one very minimal, this will be fine. And then you take it and turn into a complete mad woman within like 24 hours, and you're like, you think it's the drugs? And they're like, could be something else. And you're like, no, I think it's the drugs. So having that experience of having been through it, but also come out the other side, because sometimes when we're living it and we're going through it, and literally like, before you've done your first IVF, you can't really, however much you research, however much you can't really know. But then you can look back and you go, oh, I've got through it. I've survived it. Like, look, I've survived. I'm still sat here. I've done it. And now we can move on to the next stage. I think that's quite, more and more people are now sharing. I think Instagram is amazing for our fertility community, that people are sharing, because back in 11, 12 years ago, when I was trying to conceive, there were like infertility forums that you could go on, but everyone was like hidden behind a handle. So, it was like, broken eggs 75 and ain't had a baby yet 21. And, it was like, you didn't really sort of build that relationship as much. I think with Instagram, the fact that we can see people's faces, understand what they're going, and they're sharing the whole of the journey, rather than just coming onto a forum and sharing the bad bits and then never come back on the forum and update you on what you've done. I think that's so positive as well.
I think it's so important to share, or at least for me, it's been so important to share like all the good, but as well as all the bad, so that people know if they're going through the same thing that I'm going through, that they know what to expect when the bad happens. Like when I had my miscarriage in September and had to go through like taking misoprostol, what I was told and what I researched was very different than the experience that I actually had. And that actually, something inside me decided that I was like, now I need to take, like, I'm currently taking a pregnancy loss support course so that I can help other people who have to go through the same thing that I went through. Because I was very fortunate to have Tom, who was an incredible, beautiful support during that time. But I want to make sure that everyone who ever has to experience that I have the opportunity to help, feels the exact same way that I felt.
And I think that's what's so important. And this is why I do the podcast, and invite people to come on and to open up these conversations, that I think so many women, especially if they maybe have a very early miscarriage, don't reach out, don't get the support that's available and so needed, because it's not sort of talked. Miscarriage just isn't talked about. Like, over here, it's very much, if someone says like the M word, everyone's like clams up. It's like, oh my God, someone's talking about something that is icky and female and body parts and emotional and involves grief. Oh my God, everyone shuts down. Whereas I want it to be that people can feel like, yeah, there's spaces and there's people that you can come to who, like you say, is like, you're never going to get bored of talking about this. You're never going to be like, oh, well, that's a bit heavy today. Oh, like if you ask someone like, how are you? How are you doing? You don't want the shiny, oh, I'm fine answer. You really want to know, like, how are you? How can I support you? You know, how can I serve you? What can we do? And I think when you come, and that really comes across in your posts, in your account as well, it's just that that love you have for the members of the community as well. It's like, even if someone's quite a new follower, it's like we're all, if I've, you know, people who've been through this, still going through it, like come out the other side. It's this beautiful, yeah, community coming together.
Thank you. You're gonna make me cry.
That's always like, I feel like I say that to clients. I was like, sometimes people are like, I'm sorry I got, and it's like, I get extra points for making people cry as a therapist. So it's absolutely
That's
fine.
very sweet.
Feel a deep emotion. That's what we want.
Yeah, I just going through this is a very shitty and very hard um chapter that people have to go through. And I think, if I have the opportunity to make that somewhat easier, that would be absolutely incredible. Yeah.
And talk to me about so the difference. So for example, if somebody was you know, they're being supported by a fertility clinic, how would you work alongside the clinic? Because like you said, you're not offering, you know, the doctors are still there for that medical advice and, like, you know, administering you know, any drugs, like giving you sort of your protocol for your treatment. How would then having your support, like what would that add to that, so people can really understand?
Oh, for sure. So I don't offer any medical advice. That's not something that I would do, or that I do. I don't offer medical advice, but what I offer is support. So, for example, if it's your first time ever at a fertility clinic, I can actually go in with you, and sit and have that conversation with your doctor if your partner's not available and you want someone to be there. Or it can be a conversation after where I can explain to you what the doctor was saying. And we just have very candid conversations about how the person is feeling, what support I can offer them, as well as if they require any explanations on anything. But I also offer like ideas and ways that they can cope through this process. For example, something that I found really helpful is to offer a checklist during the 2-week wait. So if my client is going through a 2-week wait, I offer them a checklist of things that they can focus on and things that they can do with their partner or by themselves that they enjoy doing. Like, let's say you really enjoy painting. You know what? Let's get you painting during your 2-week wait, and let's talk about your painting and show me your painting, like whatever support that you would require from like your best girlfriend during that time, just an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry on. That's the type of support that I offer. And it's all individualized. It's all individualized. Like, different people need different things in different times.
I suppose it's really dependent on, I find if someone I sometimes work with clients who aren't able to share with their friends or family for whatever reason, they just don't feel comfortable doing that either yet, or maybe at all for whatever reason. And sometimes you've even worked with clients where their partner, maybe there's infertility on the partner's side, and their partner said, I don't want you telling anyone about this because I don't want them knowing. And so that puts them in a really difficult position, that they're like, well, my partner said that, and I don't want to break that relationship, that confidence there, but I need to talk to someone about this. And I think it's where both, our profession is so beautiful, that it's that sacred space where, anything said in session is completely private, and you don't have to have all of the weight, all of the preconceptions that maybe you may have friends that are like, oh, I just know this round's going to work for you. And you're like, how? Or you might have friends that are like, oh, why are you doing it? It's really expensive. Like, why don't you just adopt? And you're not, all the things that maybe your friends are trying their best to support you, but just don't have the language, don't have the experience, just don't have the empathy, maybe even to be able to hold you in that way.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And there's also a stigma and a shame when it comes to infertility treatments that hopefully will go away one day, but a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking to their friends and families and uh, about what they're going through. They may not feel comfortable, or something that that I've talked about in the past was just kind of emotional burnout from friends and family. They may be all in during the first egg retrieval, and then slowly their compassionate may kind of burn out. And that's not anyone's fault. It's unfortunate that for people who haven't gone through, difficulties trying to conceive or infertility, they just may not know um, how to hold space for someone who's experiencing that. While someone, a fertility support doula, fertility support practitioners, fertility coaches, this is what we love to do. We love to support, and we are we are a space, we are a holding space for those types of conversations.
I think that's what's so important as well, is kind of, like you said, sometimes we can lean on our friends and then, they're not able to give us back what they need. Whereas, we've literally been trained of like how to do this and not crumple under the weight of what people are, because it's not like they're giving it. Sometimes with friends, we can literally, like, we can take it on, can't we? And then we can kind of try and help carry it for them. Whereas that's not actually what you need, is someone to help you go like, how can we support you through this? What things can you put in place on a day-to-day basis to support you, rather than being, once a week or once every 2 weeks is a dump of here's all the stuff.
I also feel like families and friends, they want to provide you with a solution because they want you to be better. They want you to get better.
And
And unfortunately,
they want you to have a baby, don't they? Because they
yeah, oh, of course.
or a niece
Yeah,
or
of
you
course.
or a kid
So
to bring.
there's that pressure there too, right? But
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes friends and families, they want to provide a solution, while someone like me, it's more of a holding space for how you're feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not here to provide solutions, but I'm here to sit with you and listen with you and hold space for wherever you are in this moment in time.
And I think that's what's so, I think it's really important as well to talk about that, because I think there are some like fertility coaches out there who are maybe kind of coaching people in the kind of like, you can do it, let's get you pregnant, let's come on. And it's kind of, sounds very different to what you do, very different to what I do. And it's like, we meet you where you are and ask you what you need, and then it's very unique to you, rather than like just gonna like plaster toxic positivity on it and be like, we can get you pregnant. It's like,
Yeah.
we can like help you with whatever you're coming to us with in that moment and support you. And sometimes it might have nothing to do with infertility. Sometimes it might have nothing to do with treatment. It's like, actually, I've had a falling out with, my dad. And actually what I need to talk about today is how I feel about this. And then that can be the space as well.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you had, let's ask everyone this question. If there was just one thing that you would like to share with people listening or watching today, which is kind of like the gem, the diamond of your experiences, both professionally and personally over the past 4 years, what would you like to share?
Oh, I would say, give yourself grace, to not be okay,
Beautiful. So
because I like, I feel like at the beginning, of when I first started, and I see this a lot in my clients, that it's infertility, trying to conceive is so consuming, and it can be so painful. And when you're not feeling 100%, you can be very down on yourself. But it's really okay not to be okay. And it's so important to have a support system in place, whatever that looks like to you. Whether it's going to dance or Pilates or talking to a therapist or hiring a fertility support doula. It is so important for you to do things will that will help you be okay, and that's okay.
And that's so important as well, because I think sometimes we end up putting a front on with our friends and family and, and work colleagues, and we're, like, we're okay, and we're being okay to kind of help them, because
Yeah.
especially if they've reached that, but we feel like my emotions are too big for myself, so how am I going to share this with others? But there's and that's why my business is called the Embrace Fertility, because it's embrace all of those emotions, embrace the horrible, difficult things, because if we're pushing them away and resisting them, they're just coming back with more force and bigger. Whereas if we're embracing ourselves, and because so much of the time, like when I was going through infertility, I couldn't stand myself and I couldn't stand my body, and I had so much like hatred for my body, and I was like, I've got endometriosis and my womb is against me, and all the language around endometriosis was like this thing that was kind of attacking me from the inside. And then when I started learning about mind body link, I was like, that's probably not the best way to be talking about the part of my body that I want to carry my child for the next 9 months. And it's so, but like, yeah, it all starts with like, how am I talking to myself? Like, how do I actually feel? Because a lot of the time we're so used to people going like, how are you? And you're like, I'm fine. They're not looking, they don't want a real answer. Whereas if you come into a space where, yeah, your therapist or your doula is saying to you like, how are you? It's like that question is such a different question, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Fantastic. It has been absolutely lovely having you on today. How can people find you? And I know you have an event coming up soon. Tell us about your event first.
Yes. So I'm so excited. So if people want to find me, my Instagram is the.infertilitydoula, the.infertility.doula. I am located, you can book appointments with me through the womb Guelph. I'm also co-hosting a fertility and conception journey support space with a registered psychotherapist and fertility doula, that's me, at the womb on March 21st at 7:15 p.m. And that's located in Guelph, which is in Ontario, Canada. I'm just going to read a little blurb about it.
That'd be fantastic.
Please join us on March 21st at 7:15 p.m. at the womb for our first fertility and conception journey support space. This support group is a space for you to feel heard and connect with others going through a similar experience under the guidance of a fertility doula, which is me, and a registered psychotherapist. Her name is Michelle Green. Roughly 1 in 6 couples experience difficulty conceiving in Canada. We have created an environment where you will be met with compassion, hope, and acceptance as you navigate your trying to conceive journey. And this is from anyone from trying to conceive to going through fertility treatments to having all of those experiences.
Fantastic. And you already mentioned your Instagram account. Are you anywhere else on the interweb where we can find you?
I am in the process of creating a website, which is very exciting. I'm hoping that it will launch soon, but of course, with everything, it just takes a little time.
Excellent. So yeah, people follow you on Instagram, and then I've mentioned as soon as your website is live, you can let people know. Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on today. It's been absolutely lovely to chat, and I'm absolutely loving your background as well with your mural. Love it. So I just been staring at the happy whale before. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time today, Naomi. Thank you so much.
And this will be going live on my podcast and YouTube channel. If anyone is listening or watching and has not yet subscribed, please do so, and you'll be the first to know when a new episode comes live. You can also sign up on my website for my fertility 3Bs on how to stress less and enhance your fertility using the Mind Body link. And you can do that at embracefertility.co.uk. And I'm Embrace Fertility on Instagram and TikTok, and Embrace Fertile on Pinterest, because you're not allowed quite enough letters. So do come and follow me wherever you like to hang out on social media, and I'll see everybody soon. Bye.